Greetings and welcome to another installment from the Patchwork Productionz Learn to Crochet for Beginners series. In this video, you will learn how to make a scrubby. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Stitch, and Patchwork Productionz is all about learning and doing crochet. So make sure you subscribe so you never miss another installment. Without further ado, let's get started. So for this video, we are going to be making some scrubbies, or some dishcloths, whatever you want to call them. Those things that you use to clean those dishes nice and good. And there's this awesome but interesting yarn that you can actually buy. I'm not sure if you can actually call this a yarn, but it's Red Heart Scrubby. So they have their own yarn for this, and basically this scrubby yarn is what I would call an exotic yarn. So if you look at it really closely, hopefully this can focus, you can see these. Oh, that's better. It's like I think it's a two-ply yarn that has these like frills coming off of it. And it has this kind of like soft yet abrasive effect to it. I made one here just to save me on time. But yeah, this stuff is pretty interesting. It has these little frills, and then you can make something and clean your dishes. So it's really nice, but I have to say, this is not an easy to work with yarn. I'm just gonna put that out there now. If you want to use this stuff, it takes some dedication, or you need a massive hook. But I feel like that would make this rather ineffective. But basically, the issue that you can have is that these frills deceive you. So when it's all coiled up and you're trying to do single crochets or double crochets, you can sometimes forget where your loop actually is. Because as you can see here, you can barely tell, I bet you can't even see it on camera too well, where my single crochet loops are. But if I look in person, I can sort of tell, yeah, here's one. But it's interesting. So to work with this yarn, you're gonna want to make your stitches very loose, and if you're having trouble, use a larger hook. I'm gonna see if I can use this I9. That's kind of actually the hook size they recommend. US I9 or 5.5 millimeter hook. But if you're having trouble with it, and I may end up doing this, just switch to a larger size hook. But yeah, I'm gonna attempt to make a double layered scrubby, so it's not just one. I mean, one works. It's not ineffective, but I'm gonna see if I can thicken it, make it two. So I'm gonna make another one and show you just a little bit of how you can work with this. So it's pretty simple. You just work with it in the round like you normally would with a circle. But I'll just show you some of the intricacies of this yarn because it's pretty advanced. So I'm going to start with a chain ring of 5 just to make my life easy. And again, you're going to want to do everything loose. Also, if you make your stitches too tight, or like here, this is just a slip knot, because of those frillies, drawing this loop bigger is a lot harder because the knot is tight and it won't allow those frillies to get through. So that is something for you to keep in mind. You're not just going to be able to move with this so freely. So again, very loose. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. This might be a little too loose now that I'm looking at it, but you know, I don't want to take any chances. Let's join with a slip stitch. Okay, and I'm going to do double crochets. Now, to be honest, I actually don't exactly remember the specifics of how I did this, but I did work with double crochets, so I'm going to presume that the first round I did was was 12 double crochets. I could be wrong and it was actually 6. So I'm going to see. 'Cause I made this a while ago to practice because it's a little hard to work with. So let's see here, something to match. Let's first chain 3, 2, 3, and I'm gonna make my rounds this way where you chain 3, but this I'm probably not gonna have this count as a double crochet, and I'm doing it this way because I'm pretty certain spiral method with this stuff would be a bit hard to do. So now I'm going to do some double crochets, yeah, and I think I'm going to attempt to do 12 double crochets. So again, see here, normally I would pull this to kind of make everything tighter. I tend to do my stitches tight. But in this case, I'm going to want to do this very loose, and I'm going to make sure this loop is loose when I go to make my double crochet, so that on the next round, I have something to work into. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish making these. Here's another thing. I'm just gonna point out everything with this, so if you want to try to use this, you can understand. So normally when you're dealing with chain rings, magic circles, etc., working in the round, and you want to get a lot of stitches in a certain space, sometimes when you make the stitch it's just where it is and you would pull it back, right? Yeah, it takes a bit of effort because again these frillies make it pretty hard. So this is one of those exotic yarns that's pretty interesting to work with. Now actually, before I get too far, I've only made 2 double crochets and then I have that chain 3. Let me get some stitch markers, and I'll show you something you can do because it's hard to tell between chains and double crochets now. So I'm going to show you how you can now use stitch markers. So here is one of my stitch markers, and what you can do is stick the stitch marker into the chain, the top of the chain 3, so that you can remember that that's where you're going to work your slip stitch to join, and that is not one of the stitches that you're counting as a double crochet, and then you can move that as you go through the rows or rounds. So yes, there is something to keep in mind. So yes, I shall continue making these. I should end up with 12 in this first set, and then yeah, we'll move from there. So this is my first round, and this center hole's a lot bigger. I'm wondering if I did a smaller chain ring on my first one. Which would probably be why it's like this, more like a little hat. But yes, so what I did in the end here was I just took out that stitch marker, which I set down because I'm going to need it again, and I just did my slip stitch right into that top of the chain, and yeah, now we have our round. So I can now proceed to round 2. Which should be, let's think, it should be two double crochets in each stitch around. Now that's going to be a tad complicated, because of how this stuff works, but we'll see how it goes. I'll probably just go ahead and finish making this and then explain anything I may have encountered along the way, and then I'm going to try one last thing just to see if it works for fun. So yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so this is the end of this one, and it seems like I made it a little bigger than my first one, which is going to make the next thing I decided to do a little interesting, but we'll see what happens. So I ended up staying with the I9 hook. If you do the stitches loosely, it's not too bad. I'm also certain I messed up my pattern somewhere along the way, but thankfully wherever I messed it up you can't tell. I could only tell because of my stitch count and where I ended and everything. And because I'm lazy and because this stuff is so hard to work with, I'm like, I'm just gonna finish it and not try to go back and find the error, because normally in a normal round or any piece of work, I can generally look at it and be able to see where I made the mistake, or just undo it and work it back again, but not with this stuff. I was like, whatever. So, again, these can work just as they are, as little scrubbies, but I don't know why, but I am going to attempt to make it doubled, so it's two of them, and because this one is larger than this one, it's going to make joining these very interesting, because normally you join things of comparable size. They're generally the same amount of stitches and everything. This is not, but I don't know why, but I still want to do it. So we'll see if I can. I'm going to use the Picot or Picot. I don't know what language that is and if it's said right. I think it's just Picot. It's like Picot, you know? And I'm going to use that edging, and I'm going to see if it works, because I don't even know if that type of edging will work with this yarn, much less with my odd-sized pieces of Scrubby. So, I shall commence attempting to join these, and we'll see what happens. Well, don't ask me how I did it, because I have no idea how or what I did. Yeah, so this is it. I added the Picot edging as the edging and the join. I kind of staggered the stitches for the back one, because that was the larger one, so that it could match, but I didn't know to what degree I needed to, so it kind of, I don't know if you can tell here, but it kind of overlapped more here than back here. I mean, it's not a huge deal, it's just for scrubbing some dishes. So, yeah, now I have a very thick, interesting looking dish scrubber that I can use. And so this is how you can, actually don't do what I did, it's a bit of a pain, but this is one way that you can make your own dish scrubby. I'll see if I can get a link in the description box for where you can get this. Otherwise you can just look them up, Red Heart Scrubby. And yeah, making these is pretty fun. Once you do it enough, you get the hang of it, and then you can just crank out your own dishcloths. So for now, that will be all for this video. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this tutorial and want to learn more about crochet, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another video. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and also share this video with your friends and family or on social media. And feel free to leave a comment down below. If you have any questions or suggestions or any feedback, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, catch you later.